Well, good evening everybody, and welcome to the first round of the Season 8 GRC Division 2 Championship. We are on board, well, not necessarily on board, I'm not sure, but we're watching Jesper Hagstrom at the moment as he makes his way through turns 4, which is down there at the end of the circuit, up through 5 and 6, and he is actually a 10th up on Thomas Michau's fastest lap time at the moment, which is a pretty impressive performance from Jesper. He'll get a second sector split any moment now, and we'll have a look, see how he's fared in the middle sector. He's 3/10 down now on Thomas, so looks like, unless he can pull something out of the bag, he's going to be hopefully in the top 10 with a lap like this, if he can hook up the final corner fairly nicely. And the back end gets very wobbly on the exit of the corner, but like I say, it should be a fairly reasonable lap time as he comes across the line. Where's this going to put him provisionally? It's going to put him 4th, so a pretty impressive lap there from Jesper. Who else have we got on a lap? Tyrone Frith in 29th place is just coming out of the final corner now, and he's a 2.3 seconds down on Michau already, and so this isn't going to set the world alight. It's going to be a 1 minute 33 dead to put him in 22nd place, and the last man across the line will be Simon Smith, who will come across in a 1 minute 31.9, so up to 16th place for Simon Smith. So unfortunately we missed a large amount of qualifying. Aid Randall also, has yet to complete a lap time. He is coming out of the final corner now, so one more driver to watch before we move on to the warm-up. Here comes Aid out of the final corner towards the start-finish line. Where's this going to put the English Racing Knights Lords driver? It's going to put him up into 15th position there. So that is all the drivers now then. We missed, as I say, the first few moments of qualifying due to some technical errors, but we're with you now and we'll be with you all the way through the race. I am, of course, for Division 2, joined in the commentary box by Mike Wrightson. Mike, it's nice to be back.
It certainly is. I think we're going to be looking forward to quite a classic season. The new cars seem to be very, very even. A lot of the drivers seem to be quite evenly matched, so I think we're in for some 2 good races tonight.
Absolutely. So it is Thomas Michau. Am I saying that right, do you think, Mike?
I'm not quite sure. I can think it maybe like that, or Michau, or along those lines. We'll have to ask
well, yeah, Thomas, if you're watching the replay right now, let us know on the forums how to say your name, and we'll say it properly in Manfield. So it's him on pole position anyway. Francisco Gutierrez will be lined up in 2nd place, Ihab Abbas in 3rd, and Jesper Hagstrom will be in 4th position. There's a few new names to both the series and the division this season. A couple of drivers have dropped down from Division 1, and a couple of newcomers completely. So, like, for example, Francisco Gutierrez, who's lining up 2nd on the grid. He was driving Division 1 last year, I believe, as were a couple of others. None leap to mind. But anyway, we have some newcomers to the series completely. For example, Simon Smith, bringing his Backmarker Brigade outfit to the Gentlemen's Racing Club. He, of course, was commentating on last week's Division 1 race, so it's great to have some newcomers here in the league.
It certainly is. You'll easily spot Simon. It's a very distinctive livery, it has to be said. Very bright. But yes, there's a few guys moved back down to Division 2, Francisco being one of them. We also have a return for Jenny Anderson, who's competing in Division 2 a couple of seasons ago. Good to see her back, joining the Midnight Racing team along with Lara Martinez. Most of the other guys are familiar names. Olaf Macau and Thomas Macau, both now in Division 2. I think one of them was in Division 1 last season. And we also have a return for Andy Yates, who was last seen, I think, a couple of seasons ago. It's good to see him back.
Absolutely. A minute and a half to go in the warm-up session before the green flag lap will get underway. As you say, a welcome return for Jenny Anderson. I remember her and Francisco Gutierrez actually providing some excellent racing back in season 6. It must have been, yeah, season 6. So hopefully we'll have more of the same this season. Macau had a pretty, I'm going to say Macau now, just so you don't know who I'm talking about, he was 4/10 quicker than Gutierrez in qualifying, so a pretty impressive margin of pole position for him. 4/10 of a second in these cars is a heck of a lot.
Certainly is, and it's interesting that quite a few of the Division 2 guys have chosen the Volvo this time around. Now for the current season, the Volvo is now 4-wheel drive, so that is going to give an advantage at the start of the race, so we should get a good start, but also just generally quite easy to drive, and it should help them make less mistakes. So be interesting to see how they get on. Doesn't have as much straight line speed as some of the other cars. It's part of the changes engineered into the cars for this season. The front-wheel drive cars in particular will be very fast at the beginning of the races, but will suffer with tyre wear towards the end of a long run. The Volvo is designed to be somewhere in the middle. It's not got the straight line speed of the quickest cars. The BMW and the Lexus are the 2 rear-wheel drive cars this time round. They've proven to be quite even, although the Lexus being the more stable of the 2, as was found in Division 1. BMW a bit more nimble, but at the end of the race all the cars should end up getting there at the same time, is what we found in testing. So it's going to be quite interesting seeing who comes out on top in the feature races.
Yep, certainly will be. Certainly the BMW was the vehicle of choice for the Division 1 guys last time out in Bahrain, and indeed for the whole season. And there's a noticeable amount more rear-wheel drive cars in Division 2. Usually Division 2 drivers tending to be a little more conservative and pick for the front-wheel drive options because they're slightly easier to keep in a straight line, but this season they've either gained in confidence or also just feel a bit more comfortable driving these rear-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, I think that's the case. They are a bit easier to drive than last season. Although last seasons they were easier to drive than the season before that. But they've definitely got more drivable, and I think a lot of the Division 2 guys have gained a lot of confidence with rear-wheel drive in the previous season, and they've really gone for it this time round. So because I think we do have the highest number of rear-wheel drive cars in Division 2 that we've ever had. In fact, I can only see about 6 front-wheel drive cars in there. The rest are all rear-wheel drive and the Volvos.
Yep, absolutely. And so we will be moving to the race in about 30 seconds. This sprint race will be 13 laps long, or 20 minutes, whichever comes first. And I think we will make the 13 laps. Potentially, I can't remember how close it was in Division 1, but it'll be 12 or 13 laps for sure. And there are no pit stops. It's just a sprint race to the flag. When the feature race comes around, there'll be pit stops to deal with, and we'll explain to you all of the complications in pit stops and the different strategies that drivers may choose to use. But at the moment, we just have a 13-lap flat-out sprint race, and this circuit, Mike, is really good for overtaking. Lots of places to get a good tow, and lots of heavy braking zones to make your move in.
Yeah, certainly it's how it turned out in Division 1. There was big slipstreams involved, so it's actually quite hard to break away from someone if you manage to pass them into usually turn 1 or the last turn. It's actually quite hard to break away because of the draft. So it's slightly unusual track in that respect. Most of the other tracks in the series are not going to be quite as bad for that. But it certainly did find it very hard to break away from a car that you've just passed.
Yep, certainly I found, as the cars set off on their green flag lap, I found in Division 1 that although I was a couple of tenths a lap quicker than Emmanuel Gaxella, he could just keep with me in the slipstream and keep making my race a nightmare. So I wonder if we'll have any of that today. So as the cars head away on the grid, the man on pole position is the man in the black and green crazy looking car. Looks like the Misterons have got involved there. Thomas Macau lining up on pole. Alongside him is Francisco Gutierrez in the Dark Horse Racing 1 car. Third place will be Ihab Abbas in the VDB Motorsports car. Fourth, Jesper Hagstrom, in the first of the TDF racing cars. Fifth position, Matt Adkin in the Oakley Racing BMW. He was one of the front runners last season, so expect him to be challenging for the title come the end of the year. Sixth position for Paul Joseph in the Dark Horse Racing team, and another Dark Horse Racing car right behind him, Mick Duncombe. He'll be pretty happy with 7th on the grid, I would have thought, in his four-wheel drive Volvo. 8th place for John Gibbons in the first of the Psycho Racing cars. 9th place for the returning Jenny Anderson, and 10th place for Alfredo Chiva.
In 11th we have Jan Hack, the first of the Adua Racing cars. He's chosen the Volvo team this season. Alan Catini lines up 12th for the first of the English Racing Knights cars in his Lexus. Nico De Bruin in 13th in another Volvo for Dark Horse Racing. And the Griffiths for the English Racing Knights in his BMW lines up 14th, closely followed by Aid Randall in the Cadillac, this time in 15th place. Mark Tiller is 16th for Oakley Racing in their Lexus team, followed by Simon Smith for the Backmarker Brigade in his Skoda. Stephen Boniface in 18th, switching to a BMW this season. Marco Vandenbreck in 19th place for VDB Motorsports. And then we have two Backmarker Brigade Triad teammates, Gary Gray in 20th and Paul Huggett in 21st. Roland Johansson in 22nd place for SRM Templar Racing, followed by Olaf Macau in 23rd for SRM T&O Racing in the BMW. Tyrone Frith for TTF Racing in 24th. Anthony Jones 25th. Laura Martinez 26th. Barry Ward 27th. Andy Yates 28th. And Mike Ward currently showing 29th, but it looks like he's heading to pit lane and a pit lane start.
Yep, obviously picked up a bit of damage on that formation lap, I'd imagine, but a great 29 car grid here lining up for the first Division 2 race. It's a great sight these cars make on the grid, and it'll be Andy Yates then, the last man to line up on his grid slot. Lara Martinez just trying to get a bit of extra power in the rear wheels as the lights then are about to come on for the start of the GRC Season 8 Division 2 Championship. We've got all 5 lights on. Can Macau get a good start? We'll find out now as the lights go out, and he has got a good getaway. Gutierrez not that impressive, and Paul Joseph has got a rocket of a start in the silver, red and black car. He's coming up the inside of his teammate Gutierrez as they come down into turn 1. Joseph late on the brakes, and Paul Joseph makes it into second position, but Macau has gone wide, and Gutierrez is going to come through and take the lead as they come side by side. Gutierrez takes the lead of the race. It looked like there was a bit of a spinner back, and Mick Duncombe has spun. Mick Duncombe has spun a bit further back down the order, I see, but Gutierrez up into the lead of the race.
Yeah, Mick Duncombe getting caught up in an incident just after turn 1. Didn't quite see exactly what happened there, but Francisco Gutierrez taking advantage of Thomas Macau and Paul Joseph both making a mistake into turn 1, but now they're going to start putting the pressure on him, so let's see how they deal with that one. Paul Joseph, interestingly, was holding the fastest lap time in the pre-race practice, so I think we need to watch out for him applying pressure in the early stages.
Of course, the Dark Horse Racing teams are sponsored by photobook.co.uk, who are the sponsors of this Division 2 series and allow things like this broadcast to take place. Obviously, great news that photobook.co.uk came on board. There's my plugging done for the moment, and Macau has got a poor run through that final corner at turn 7, and he could be under pressure from Paul Joseph here. Let's watch these three then as they head down into turn 1. Let's see how much slipstreams play an advantage, and also getting a braking point right for this really heavy stopping zone into turn 1, probably the biggest stopping zone we have on the circuit. Macau is looking up the inside, he's braking late, surely that's too late, surely he's going to rocket past the apex. He is. Gutierrez just tucks in and Paul Joseph goes past as well, so it's a dark horse 1-2 for the moment.
Indeed, further back down the pack we have some other spinners. I think that could have been Mark Tiller, also having a spin at turn 1. Another car off well wide. I think that's Jesper Hagström running very, very wide in 4th place. So quite a few of the guys are they're suffering from a few first race nerves out there, and it's not the easiest of starts for them. But let's see if they're all going to get settled down. So far our top 10: Francisco Gutierrez leads the way, Paul Joseph in 2nd, Thomas Macau 3rd, Jesper Hagström 4th, Alfredo Chiva in 5th, Alain Cortini 6th, Matt Adkins 7th, Ihab Abbas in 8th, John Gibbons in 9th, and Barry Ward rounding out the top 10. And I have news that we have one retirement. Unfortunately, Roland Johansson is out with an engine failure.
Just when it looked like he was going to get a nice haul of points here today. Let's cut back to the position, the battle for sort of 7th place. We've got about 4 abreast here. Who is in here? We've got Ihab Abbas in 6th. Cortini is alongside him in 7th. Then behind him we have Gibbons, and Barry Ward. So we've got, look at this. We've got 3 abreast there, and then 2 abreast further behind. This can only go messy down into turn 1, and Cortini has the inside line. There's contact with Adkin, but they all managed to sneak through. Cortini, I thought, was going to spin there, but these guys are battling like mad.
Yeah, this little pack is still tied together, and they could be like this for the rest of the race at this circuit. Now I'm just looking for, let's see, we have another retirement. Paul Huggett is unfortunately out with suspension damage. Let's see who else.
And well, we've got this 3-wide battle still going on. Barry Ward has now been sent out on the outside of the corner as they come down into turn 6, and he's going to give Ihab Abbas a little bit of a nudge. Matt Adkin is the blue and white car, you can see miles off the road, but 6th place, Ihab Abbas is defending heavily from Barry Ward. He moves to the left, he moves to the right, now back to the left. Ward has the inside line. Can he get the car slowed down in time? No. Abbas is going to come through, and is Ward going to spin all the way around? No. Fantastic save from Barry Ward, and that's going to allow Gibbons to close in a little bit, and not too bad. Just up in front of them, the battle for 4th between Alfredo Chiva and Jesper Hagström is about to go side by side down into turn 1. Will Hagström be able to get the car stopped in time and make the move? I think he will. There might be a bit of rubbing here. There is. Chiva has the inside for turn 2, and Chiva holds the position. Hagström, though, isn't going to give up that easily. He sticks his nose at the inside. Oh, Hagström's going round right on the apex. This could get messy. Ihab Abbas dives to the outside and goes past Jesper Hagström, and Barry Ward drives past as well. Meanwhile, there's been a change for the lead, and another change for the lead as I talk about it. Francisco Gutierrez retaking the lead back from Paul Joseph, but now Joseph is going to go side by side with his teammate through the long right-hander at turn 5. That's going to allow Macau to come up the inside as they head down the hill into turn 6. Macau in the black and green car moving up the inside of Joseph. Is he? Joseph gives him enough room, and they're going to be side by side down into turn 7, Mike.
This is all action at the front. The Volvo is supposedly down on straight line speed, but as long as it stays in a slipstream, it seems to be able to keep pace. If they lose the draft, then their lower straight line speed becomes apparent, and Thomas Macau getting the pass done on Paul Joseph, but that's let Francisco Gutierrez get 0.7 of a second lead, and that's an out to 1 second, so that could be enough to break the toe to the 2 cars behind him.
Could well be. Let's just hope Gutierrez doesn't make a mistake, as Macau, he's left his braking too late again. He needs to learn to stop for that corner, and he's allowed Paul Joseph back into 2nd position. So that's at least the 3rd time I've seen Macau outbrake himself into turn 1. A little A little bit more calm from Thomas Macau, and he could be in the lead of this race, but you're right, Francisco Gutierrez is pulling away like crazy as these two battle as they come over the sector split now. The gap is up to 1.5 seconds. Macau's going to look up the inside into turn 4, hits the brakes, locks up, and this time, has he held it? Oh, I don't know, it's difficult to say. Joseph is trying to stay with him, but he'll have the outside line for turn 5. Will he be able to get a good run? These two are absolutely glued together, and Gutierrez is running away with it, so he'll be delighted to see this in his rear view mirror, and Macau has got the position for the moment.
Yeah, so it's a big present for Francisco. He's now to 1.6 seconds ahead, and that's definitely out of slipstream range of the two behind. If they stop fighting and work together, they may be able to close the gap. But if they keep battling with each other, then Francisco's only going to keep pulling away. So let's have a look a bit further back down the field and see who's fighting where. Everyone's starting to spread out a little bit, but from 8th position backwards, Marco van den Broek, we have a lot of cars lining up. In fact, John Gibbons gets alongside Marco coming out of the final turn. They're going to be side by side down the main straight, with Mark Tiller missing his front bumper right behind them.
Gibbons takes the position, but then van den Broek jumps back in the slipstream. Someone's going off wide there. I think that looks like Alfredo Chiba, but they're both late on the brakes. Van den Broek makes the position, but here's Mark Tiller coming around the outside of both of them into turn 2. Tiller takes 2 positions in one corner. Great move from Tiller if he can hold the inside here, which he should be able to pretty comfortably. But, well, now he's going to be in trouble with the slipstreaming down this back straight as Van den Broek tucks into the slipstream. Will Tiller feel the need to go defensive with 2 BMWs bearing down on him? No, he's sticking to his line. He's going to make Van den Broek outbrake him. And is Van den Broek going to outbrake himself? No, good move from Marco van den Broek, but Tiller has got a long side once again and he's going to look to the outside. Oh, he's turned in there, that's dangerous, and that's going to allow John Gibbons in the black Psycho racing car to come at the inside. Van den Broek goes defensive, Gibbons is through, Gibbons is late on the brakes, but Gibbons is up into 9th place as they head down the back straight. Let's stick with this just quickly for the moment as they head down the back straight. Gibbons is going to surely look at Van den Broek is going defensive this time, putting his car right in the middle of the track. Tiller's late on the brakes. Can he avoid hitting Gibbons? Yes, he can. Gibbons gives Tiller room, and Tiller dives at the inside. Oh, there's contact, and Chiba is off. That was Chiba, the red and black car, parked at the side of the track, and this is surely about to go 3 abreast into turn 1.
Certainly is, and another driver who's been making a bit of a recovery is Mick Duncombe. He's back up to 12th place, and he's coming up on the battle for 10th between Simon Smith and Anthony Jones. These two have just closed up together. Simon Smith, he's braked too late for turn 1 again. So is Mick Duncombe. They've made a bit of contact there. Anthony Jones now up into 10th place. He's actually the highest. Is he one of the highest of the? Well, he's second highest English Racing Nights car in his new Astra, so it looks like he's absolutely loving it.
And behind him then Simon Smith and Mick Duncombe are side by side for 12th position, for 11th position rather. This must be the highest Simon Smith has ever run on lap 7 of a race, I'd imagine, and he's doing a pretty solid job. I think he's still driving with that blooming gamepad, even though I've posted him a wheel. I posted him my old wheel, but he still reckons he's faster with a gamepad. So we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, he's doing a pretty solid job there in 11th place. Mick Duncombe is looking impatient to try and get through as they head out onto the back straight once again. And Smith, the Skoda looks pretty quick in a straight line. The Volvo struggling to keep up as he heads down into the final corner. Is he just going to lunge on at the inside? Duncombe is. That's never going to get stopped in time, Mick.
Yeah, the Skoda is one of the fastest cars in a straight line. Both of the front-wheel drive cars are going to be quick in that respect. So Mick's got the car that's easier to drive and it's more stable in the braking, but it is hampered on straight line speed, as we said earlier. And I see Anthony Jones is actually
John Gibbons has spun, sorry. John Gibbons has spun right at the apex of the corner, and they all dive to avoid him. You were right, Anthony Jones had caught up with Van den Broek and Tiller, but then all hell broke loose when John Gibbons spun right on the apex. So sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but fortunate not to have more contact than we did there.
Yeah, it's Anthony Jones looks like he's picked up a little bit of damage, but overall he's gained a place from that, so his car looks otherwise okay. Let's see if he can catch up to Marco Vandenbroek again. But this, I think, is going to be the highest positions that Anthony Jones has been running in lately. So he clearly is loving the new Astra. Let's have a look and see how the position is at the front. And it looks like Thomas Macau is starting to gain on Francisco Gutierrez again. They're all joining up. They're all starting to close up. Looks like they've lapped one of the Midnight Racing cars, and the front three are now right together again. So it's game on again.
Absolutely, as you just saw on the screens, Macau just set the fastest lap of a 1 minute 29.6, fastest lap of the race on that last lap for Thomas Macau. So he's really on a charge, trying to catch up with Gutierrez, who outbrakes himself down into turn 4, and Macau's run a little bit wide and gone on the curbs there. That could give Joseph an opportunity to pick up a bit of momentum and make a move, but he's not quite close enough. So Gutierrez doesn't seem to quite have the pace to keep Macau behind him, but of course we are on lap 9 out of 13, 66% of the way through this race, and so there isn't going to be long left for Macau to make it back up and past. A big loser, just quickly, in some of the action that was going on earlier. You remember the battle for 4th that Marco Vandenbroek was involved in? Well, he's now down to 8th position, so not good news for him.
No, Mick Duncombe has finally made it past Simon Smith into 10th place. Chicken Town into outbreaking himself slightly. He's lost it. Oh, Simon! As I watch, Simon Smith has into one of the anti-cut bollards at the end of turn 6. So a great run for Simon Smith has sadly just come to an end.
Yep, that's a real shame there for Simon. But up at the front it's close. It's Gutierrez is right behind Macau, and now Joseph, is right behind Macau as they head down the. Is Joseph going to get a look as they come down into turn 4? He's going to have a little look up the inside. Is Macau going to be able to defend? Oh, very late on the brakes again, and he's going way past the apex, and he's got himself on the curb. So Paul Joseph will surely take this second position if he turns in, shuts the door. Oh, Macau gets out of it just in time.
Yeah, some hard racing going on here. Paul Joseph has got to make the moves, and he's got to get back in line to try and close up with Francisco. The gap's gone out to a second again, with a little bit of fighting between Paul and Thomas. And here's Macau coming again into the last turn. Has he got it stopped? He has got it stopped, but I think Paul Joseph has cut back on the inside, and they're going to be side by side down the main straight, and that's going to leave Gutierrez with nearly 2 seconds lead now.
Yep, you can see there in the battle for second the lack of straight line speed that the Volvo has. But the thing is, Paul Joseph knows where to brake, whereas Macau seems to have no idea as they come around turn 1 and now side by side through turn 2. If Macau could get his car stopped for the corners, he'd be dominating this race. Oh, very wiggly.
Certainly seems to have some issues with the brakes, particularly at the end of the long straight. And I think, to be fair, a lot of the drivers in Division 1 were finding them very tricky in that big stop at the end of the main straight. So quite easy to lock them up in the rear wheel drive cars in particular. The 4-wheel drive is a bit better off and spreads its braking out better, but even the Division 1 drivers have been complaining a bit that the brakes are quite tricky.
Well, yeah, I'm saying all this, but I can't get the car stopped, especially at Manfield. But all this battling between Macau and Paul Joseph means that Gutierrez now has a 3.1 second lead, so he is in the box seats with as he's going to come through to start his penultimate lap this time round. He's about to start lap 12 out of 13, so it's looking good for him, but second place, side by side once again. Simon Smith has just told me that he had a little mini screen freeze. That's his excuse for driving into a bollard. As they come down into turn one, Macau is looking defensive. Joseph looks to the outside, who's going to brake later? Macau has hit his brakes nice and early this time, still not early enough, or still putting too much pressure on them. Perhaps he needs to pump the brake pedal a little bit, or at least come off the brake pedal a little bit, reduce the pressure. That'll help him stop the car, but he can't hear me, he can't hear my amazing advice from in the car.
No, I did find you had to ease the pedal pressure back as you got to the end of the braking zone, otherwise it was very, very easy to let them lock up. Now let's see, we are into the closing stages of the race now. Francisco Gutierrez with 3.1 second lead, so unless something miraculous happens, I think he's pretty much got it made for this one. So the only question remains, who's going to finish second? Is it going to be a Dark Horse Racing 1-2, or is SRM and Thomas Macau going to get in between them?
Sad news for Anthony Jones. We were watching his progress up the field earlier. He's just had to make a pit stop, presumably due to damage or a puncture or something like that, as they exit the final corner now and move on to start the final lap of the sprint race here in Bahrain. It's been action non-stop. Here comes Macau in the battle for second. He's got the toe. Joseph stands his line, stands his ground. Macau just drives past him with the extra momentum. Is he going to get it stopped? The car's twitching all over the place. Yes, he has pretty much. And Joseph stamps on the power. The back end goes a little bit, but Thomas Macau holds the position. But, well, the crucial thing is to be ahead at the right time, because the problem he might find here is that if Joseph can make the move into turn 4, he's not going to have another chance to get back past.
No, he certainly won't. I mean, one of the characteristics of this particular track that the makers have managed to do is they do have variable grip levels across the tarmac to simulate where it will be dusty in real life, and you can probably see some of the dust coming up from the cars as they run offline. So it means that if you do try and outbrake someone on the inside, you're likely to be on the dust and you don't have quite as much grip. It's a feature that's not very common across R-Factor tracks, but it's definitely more realistic, but also more frustrating.
So heading down into the final corner for second and third position, it's not going to change. Macau has got a pretty comfortable run out of there, and so Francisco Gutierrez then exits the final corner to take the first win of the GRC Season 8 Division 1 Championship. Macau comes home in second with Paul Joseph right behind him in third. Ihab Abbas is going to come home in a fairly lonely fourth position, to be honest, with Barry Ward behind him in fifth. Solid sixth position for Alain Cortini in the English Racing Knights Paladins Cup, and Mark Tiller and Mick Duncombe are going to be pretty close. That's a pretty good recovery drive from Mick to finish in eighth.
Yeah, also from Mark, with the lack of the front bumper, that will have been affecting his steering somewhat. Jesper Hagstrom and Marco Vandenbreck, 9th and 10th, just finishing now. Then we have Jan Hack in the Adi Racing Volvo, making it into 11th. John Gibbons behind him in 12th. Alfredo Chiva finishes 13th. Olaf Macau 14th. Nico de Brun in 15th, also with him missing a bumper. Tyrone Frith making it right up into 16th place. That's good result. Andy Yates comes home 17th. A great drive from the very back of the grid for him. Gary Gray also sporting damage to the car in 18th place. Aid Randall brings the Cadillac home in 19th. And the final points go to Lara Martinez in 20th position in the BMW.
Anthony Jones and Mike Ward come home in 21st and 22nd respectively for the English Racing Knights Squires and Paladins respectively, and 23rd position goes to Stephen Boniface in Kennet Racing. 24th was Jenny Anderson. She finished a lap down, unfortunately, presumably after some, laps 3 and 4 for her were both 2 minutes long, so she obviously had some issues in those early laps. So an excellent excellent victory for Francisco Gutierrez, helped by the fact that Macau and Joseph continued to battle one another throughout. But it goes to show that we can have some great racing here on this Desert 400 layout in Bahrain. Oh, and I've just seen that Anthony Jones, we saw that he made a pit stop. I hypothesised it was damage or a puncture or something. Turns out he didn't fill his car up with enough petrol to make it to the end of the race. I believe that's what's known as a rookie error.
Unfortunate one for Anthony. He was doing so well. On the plus side, I don't think he's going to make that mistake in the feature race. At least everybody's got to stop in the feature race. So
yes, absolutely. So we will soon be moving to the feature race. We'll give you a rundown of exactly what that entails. But you're actually spot on. Just a quick word about this track, Mike. It was designed by CTDP, the Cars and Tracks Development Project, and it really is one of the best R-Factor tracks out there. It's the level of detail is just astonishing. The car parks at the back of the grandstand are all modelled out there for you. It's not that you'd want to drive out there, but it's just incredible the level of detail that's gone into this place.
It certainly is. It's a fantastic looking track, and I said before, the variable grip across the surface, it is huge attention to detail that they've put into it. The track I'm very, very impressed with. It's in fact thinking of using it now in some of the Formula 3 races that we're looking at doing. It is one of the best tracks we've raced on.
Nice little plug there for Mike Wrightson's Formula 3 Championship, which will be coming up in the summer after this Touring Car Championship has finished. So if you want a nice, good, clean, exciting racing Formula 3 Championship, come back in about 16 weeks and we'll be ready for you there. So the next qualifying session will soon get underway, and in this qualifying session they will fill up with fuel. They won't have the tanks aren't big enough to get to the end of the race, and a pit stop is mandatory anyway. So it just depends what your strategy is, whether you want to change tyres. It's not mandatory to change tyres, but changing tyres will lose you, what is it, about 8 seconds extra in the pit stop, Mike? 8 to 10 seconds?
It is about that, yes. Depending on how much fuel you put in at the start, a fuel-only stop, it'll be roughly 6 or 7 seconds. If you're changing tyres as well, then you're adding about 10 seconds to that nearly. So if you can make the tyres last, that is definitely going to be the way to go. Unless you're confident that you can get a big gap, which at this track is unlikely.
Yep, absolutely. The race will be 25 laps or 40 minutes. I think we will hit the 25 laps. We certainly did in Division 1. And so this qualifying session will get underway. As ever in GRC, you have 3 laps: out lap, hot lap, in lap. And so you have one shot at getting a decent lap time in. It puts quite a lot of pressure on the drivers, I must say. There's none of this building up to getting a good lap, getting into the, it's pretty high pressure stuff. And it makes me pretty nervous.
Oh, it is. It's having one lap to nail it is definitely quite nervous. I wouldn't say I'm particularly strong at it either. There's definitely people that are able to do that very, very well. But we felt this was the fairest way to do it, particularly with the Parc Fermé qualifying, and mainly so that the track didn't get too busy with fields of up to 35 cars.
Absolutely, so it will be a 10-minute qualifying session, and you can pick the time you want to leave the garage. It's usually spread over all those 10 minutes. Gutierrez has just popped in to which is a good job because qualifying is about to start. So let's find out. Presumably it'll be John Gibbons the first out on circuit. It usually is. Yes, indeed. 23rd position. John Gibbons likes to get out there nice and early, which is. But personally, I am the opposite of John. I like to wait until the end when there's no traffic and you know exactly what time you're aiming for, pretty much. Give or take a few drivers still out there to go. But John Gibbons obviously likes the extra airtime that he gets for being out first, and that means we usually watch his hot lap because he's going to be the first one to set it. So he's heading down into turn 1 now, and in fact we'll go on board with John for his hot lap and take you around this Desert 400 circuit, if that's alright with our cameraman Simon Melliwish. Hello to Simon, thank you to Simon for doing the cameras here today. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys are filling up with fuel. The most fuel you can take is about 24 laps, and as you heard me say, the race is 25 laps, so you will have to make a pit stop, whatever, but it's whether you fill up sort of halfway and do a half and half stint trying to make the tyres last, or you fill up all 24 laps and do a splash and dash on the last lap.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to go. Most of the guys were favoured running very long in Division 1. If the tyres will last, some would say it doesn't make a difference, but if you can run late into the race, then obviously you won't have to put as much fuel into the car later on, and you'll have a very light car at the end. It also gives you more options. If you think you might crash into traffic, you can wait a bit longer to make your stop.
So let's hop on board then with John Gibbons as he heads down for his flying lap of this Desert 400 layout at the Bahrain International Circuit, Sakir International Circuit I think it's called. He's going to hit the brakes at about the 150 metre board, stamp down on the brakes, flick down through the gears. He's taking that in second gear, I was taking that in first in Division 1, get a smooth run through turn 2, and then this is a really tricky corner to brake for. As you can see, the car squiggling all over the place as he tries to control it, and now heads out onto this back straight. We've seen a lot of overtaking down into this next corner, turn 4 already today. It's an interesting one because you hit the apex nice and early, but then it just sort of seems to go on and on. You'll see he hits the apex nicely here, and well, it doesn't go quite that wide, John, but it does open up quite substantially. Then through this flat out right-hander at turn 5, well, it can be flat out if you get the line right, and then braking down into turn 6, another tricky off-camber corner. This, unlike most of Herman Tilke's circuits, has a bit of undulation, it has a bit of altitude change, which makes it quite fun to drive as we head down into the final corner, then hitting 130 miles an hour before we tuck into this right-hander, taking about 60 miles an hour. It runs a little bit wide, and I think there's been a smash up behind, but we'll stay with this over the final line to see what we're looking at. 1 minute 30 is a good time. He's done a 31.3, so not too bad a lap there from John Gibbons.
Now, so we can see who else is on a hot lap. We have Laura Martinez, who will be coming around to complete her lap. She's currently showing in 10th. So far with timings, we have John Gibbons, Mark Tiller, Olaf Macau, Gary Gray and Roland Johansson have all set a lap time. Mark Tiller looks like he had a bit of a disaster there, 1:32.0. Nearly a second slower than John Gibbons. I didn't expect that, so this looks like being a tough race for Mark Tiller. Laura Martinez leaps up into 4th place with 33.7, which is quite respectable for her. Let's see.
Paul Joseph has just come across the line in a 29.6. That would put you in the top 10 in Division 1, I think.
I believe it would, yes. That's a very strong lap time. Who also just completed there, Alfredo Chiva with a 32.0. So I think there's a few cars carrying quite a bit of fuel out here. And they've basically filled up all the way. Ihab Abbas has just started his hot lap, showing in 11th. I think someone has had crash because there's a bumper lying on the track somewhere. See if we can spot it as we go around with Ihab. Just coming out of turn 2, or was it turn 3? And down the back brake. This is the VDB Motorsports BMW as he comes into the tricky uphill turn 4, which leads to turn 5. Climbing all the time, so as much time as you can pick up through that turn that stays with you all the way up here. It's 3/10 down from pole position at the moment, and that looks like a nice smooth line through turn 6, and he heads down towards the final turn, and 2/10 down now, so he's gained a bit of time. So can he gain the rest in the final turn? He looks like he's got it stopped quite well. Nice smooth exit. So let's see where this puts Ihab Abbas. Is he going to have a shot at pole position? And it's going to be easily in the top 5. Let's see if it proves me wrong. I know, yes it is. Pole position for Ihab Abbas. Provisional pole position 29.639, so 9 thousandths of a second quicker than Paul Joseph.
Excellent lap time from Ihab Abbas there. He's going to be very happy with that. Currently in 25th place is Alain Cortini. He's heading up through turn 5 now. In fact, he's 1.2 seconds slower than Ihab Abbas in those first 2 sectors. In the first sector alone, actually. So as he comes through the middle sector now, he is 1.7 seconds down. So it's going to be a slower lap for Alain Cortini than what I think he managed in the first qualifying session, as he brakes nice and hard. He takes that corner pretty nicely actually, and let's see what that time he can do as he exits to head towards the line. How long have we got left? 3 minutes left of this qualifying session, and Alain Cortini jumps up to 8th place with a 31.6.
We also have Andy Griffiths showing in 22nd. He's in the middle of his hot lap. Didn't have a great sprint race. He was out around about the same time as Simon Smith. I suspect he got caught up in the same incident. So he's going through turn 5 and into turn 6 as he crests the hill. So far so good for Andy. Unspectacular so far. And we've just lost Aid Randall from qualifying. He's either had a disconnection or some other issue, because he's fortunately left the session. Andy Griffiths coming up to the final turn. Yeah, 1.8 seconds down. Looks like he's another driver struggling with the brakes, so he'd lock up into the final turn. So where's this going to put him? That's a 31.7.
Into 10th position provisionally, so a pretty solid lap time there for Andy, even though it looked a bit unspectacular. Marco van der Broek in 21st is 3.4 seconds down on Ihab Abbas's pole position time after the first sector alone, so he must have had a mare down there, because if you remember, he was battling for 4th position at one point, and he's struggling to get the car through that corner as well. Let's see what his split is as he comes across this middle sector. 4.5 seconds down on Ihab Abbas, so he's obviously given up a little bit, and so it'll be interesting to watch Van den Broek come through from the back of the field, because I fear that's inevitably where he's going to end up at the end of this lap.
Yeah, Mick Duncombe putting in a 34.9, way down in 17th place, so another driver to have a bit of a nightmare lap. I'd expected him to be a bit higher. Let's see who else is left out on the track. Thomas McCow has just completed his lap, and he's provisional pole with a 29.4, 0.17 of a second quicker. So that is a big marker there. Is there anyone else left out here who's going to be able to challenge it? Francisco Gutierrez, 31st. He's in his hot lap coming down to the final turn. I think he is one of the only drivers left who's going to be able to challenge that pole position time. But he's 0.5 of a second down. I don't think he's going to be able to make that up in the final turn, but only 0.5 down is still going to put him about 4th on the grid. And indeed it is. 4th on the grid, 0.7 of a second down in the end. So not a smooth run for Francisco, but that could indicate that either Thomas Macau is running light and Francisco Gutierrez is running very heavy.
The last major man out there, the last of the sort of top 10 front runners, I believe, is 27th place presently, Jesper Hagström. He's 0.3 down on Macau in the first sector. He's making his way up through the long right-hander of turn 5, stamps on the brakes, and now we'll try and get he turns that in nice and early there. You can gain a lot of time if you just hook up the apex there, and I'd imagine this will be a fairly reasonable middle sector. Well, he's 0.8 down now on Thomas Macau, but this could still put him within a decent top 10 position, I'd imagine, if he can hook up the final corner. We've still got Tyrone Frith and Simon Smith out there lapping. The back end gets a bit wobbly there for Jesper, but he's heading down towards the line now. Where's this lap time going to put him? It's going to be in the 30s, I'd imagine. It's a 1 minute 30.7 and puts him 5th, actually, so a pretty solid lap there for Jesper Hagström. And Tyrone Frith is the next man, 26th place to come across the line. He's 3.8 seconds down, and he puts in a lap time. Simon Smith is only a second down on Thomas Macau. He's going to come across the line now. Oh, he's had a poor final sector there, has Simon. So that's a bit of a shame in the end. Oh, he got very sideways actually. He power slided through the final corner, so that explained his loss of speed in the final sector.
Yep, even so, 16th position. The backmarker brigade driver finds himself in the midfield. So the backmarkers are sternly marching towards the front.
Absolutely. We're now heading to the warm-up session before the 25 lap race will begin.
Just waiting for
Thomas Macau then will line up on pole position once again, and well, he'll just hope that he can get the car stopped. And it turns out that someone took out the turn 1 brake marker on their hot lap, which is what a lot of drivers are blaming for their lack of pace towards the end of the qualifying session.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. No one's admitted who did it yet. So obviously someone dropping a wheel off the track and getting sucked into the first brake marker, which is in the exact place that you've got to hit the brakes to make the turn.
Yep, what am I trying to say? Yeah, it's fine if a brake marker goes sort of mid-race and you see it go and you know that it's gone, because you can sort of adapt your style, and within a lap or two you're lapping at exactly the same pace. But if you're on a 1 lap hot qualifying lap coming down into turn 1 and you've no idea the brake marker isn't there, you're just waiting for the brake marker, there is the brake marker, but it's the 100 instead of the 150, then you're going to do a Macau and rocket on past the apex off towards Saudi Arabia.
Very true. If you do miss that marker, there is no way you're going to make that turn. If you brake at the next one, you're going to be 50 metres too far.
Absolutely. So a minute and 20 then before the green flag lap, and we have another presumably great race, because we always get great racing here at Bahrain, it seems. We had 2 classics in Division 1, and we've already had a pretty eventful one in Division 2, so hopefully this one will be no different. Just a little note, in a week's time Division 1 drivers will be racing around the circuit of Manfield in New Zealand, which is a very, that you couldn't think of a more different circuit really to this one here in Bahrain. It's tight, it's twisty, you don't even need 6th gear, it's in the middle of green fields and trees, whereas this is in the middle of absolutely nowhere, so it really is quite a variety of locations we're heading to on the GRC Season 8 tour.
I think it's New Zealand's version of Brands Hatch. It's quite undulating with a lot of quite sort of flowing corners, but it's intensely annoying, particularly the first sector that it's so easy to make a mistake on, and as soon as you do, you'll end up miles away from the track.
Absolutely, I'd call it New Zealand's Cadwell Park personally, but yeah, no, and there's no crash barriers between different sections of the racetrack. So there's one corner, if you lose the back end, you fly across and come towards the oncoming traffic. So hopefully it won't turn into a demolition derby next week. I'm sure the Division 1 drivers are more than well behaved for that. So we're just waiting for Matt Adkin, I believe, to come back in the game. He has obviously left the game. Yeah, I'm just being reminded by Simon Meluish that I did that in my debut for Torrent Motorsports here in GRC. I spun off at Manfield 2 or 3 times, and you miss out one of the sector beams, so that lap doesn't get registered. So I ended up 8 laps down at the end of my debut. I'm surprised they didn't sack me.
It's certainly going to be an interesting race. We haven't been at the track for a couple of seasons, and just testing it a couple of nights ago reminded me why.
Yes, absolutely. It's great fun though. It's great fun to drive around by yourself, but once you get 2 or 3 cars abreast into some of those corners, it's a bit scary. But let's focus on Bahrain then for now. The race is about to get underway. Well, in about 3 minutes. So we're just waiting for Matt Adkin, as I said, to come back in the server. Then the racing will be underway. We're pretty much on time tonight. In fact, if this race starts in 3 minutes, we'll be done by what, 5 past, 10 past 10. That's what I call early. So obviously, whoever's running the race tonight, I'm not sure who it is doing a better job than Alex does when he runs Division 1.
Ooh. Yes, we're keeping very well on schedule tonight, and we've got another little snippet of information from the race chat that Mick Duncan forgot to load his setup, so he was running just the default setup on the Volvo, which is pretty slow.
Certainly is. Of course, Alex is the championship coordinator, and he runs Division 1 with great aplomb and efficiency. So apologies for any offence caused there. We are looking like we're moving to the race now then. And Matt Adkin dives into the server at the last possible moment. That's a real grandstand finish, Top Gear finish almost. And it's time to head to the race then, I'd imagine. We'll take you down through the grid when they set off on their green flag lap. And then, as I say, 25 laps. Feature race, everyone will have to make a pit stop. You don't have to change tyres. If you don't want to, you will have to refuel simply because the fuel tanks aren't big enough. But do you think they will be for other tracks, Mike?
I very much doubt it. It has been reduced since last season, so I don't see any other tracks being able to run without a fuel stop. You might get fairly close. I really don't think that it's going to make it. And I think Mick Duncan is actually now stuck with that setup that he mistakenly has, so he's going to be racing with the gearing is not right, so he will be lacking even more straight line speed.
And he's starting in 20th position on the grid, in fact, so it's going to be a tough afternoon for Mick Duncan in this GRC Season 8 Division 2 sprint race, feature race, sorry. Green flag drops then, and Thomas Macau once again leads the field away. Ehab Abbas lining up in second place on the grid after his very impressive qualifying time. Remember, he finished a lonely 4th in the sprint race, so he'll be looking to put the pressure on Thomas Macau. 3rd place for Paul Joseph. 4th place for race 1 winner Francisco Gutierrez. 5th place for Jesper Hagstrom in the TDF racing car. 6th place for Jan Hack in the Adure racing team. That's a better performance this time actually from Jan. He was down in 9th or 10th I think for the sprint race. 7th place for Jenny Anderson. Let's hope she can make it to the end of lap 2 or 3 on the same lap as the leaders this time round. An unfortunate incident for her, presumably in the first race. 8th place, the first of the English Racing Knights cars, is Mike Ward in the Pallet. That's a good qualifying from Mike Ward actually. 9th place for John Gibbons in the Psycho Racing car. 10th place for Barry Ward for Oakley Racing BMW.
11th we have Alan Cottini, the second of the English Racing Knights cars, followed by his teammate Andy Griffiths in 12th, Alfredo Chiva in 13th, Mark Tiller 14th for Oakley Racing, Simon Smith up in 15th position for the Backmarker Brigade, although he said he's not very optimistic of a good start. 16th, Olaf Macau in SRM TNO Racing, Nico De Bruin in 17th, Lara Martinez 18th, Tyrone Frith improves himself to 19th place, followed by Mick Duncombe in 20th, Marco Vandenbreck in 21st, now a front runner from the sprint race. He's got a lot of work to do from back there. Gary Gray in 22nd, Roland Johansson in 23rd, who had a very short sprint race with an engine failure. Before Stephen Boniface, 25th, Andy Yates in his Skoda, Aid Randall in 26th in Cadillac, the only Cadillac in the field in fact, 27th, Paul Hugg in 28th, Anthony Jones, and 29th, Matt Adkin rounds out the field.
Matt Adkin makes his way around the final corner then, as we have hundreds of cars lining, well a lot. That's a bit cheeky from the ones at the back, stopping on the start-finish straight to try and get some heat into their tyres. But hopefully that will, well, the front guys now have been sitting on the grid. I hate to sound like Martin Brundle, but the front guys have been sitting on the grid for about 2 or 3 years now, as the back guys try to heat up their tyres. So let's just hope it doesn't all concertina into a mess down at turn 1. Matt Adkin lines up his car on pole position, as does Anthony Jones and Aid Randall, and so any moment now Thomas Macau will once again lead away from the front as the lights begin to come on. It's Macau versus Ehab Abbas down into turn 1. Away they go, and Macau has got a pretty solid one. Paul Joseph again with another monster start in that 4-wheel drive Volvo. It's a poor start from Ehab Abbas. Will he be able to stop the car in time though? He wasn't able to in the first race. Gutierrez in the silver car has gone a bit wide. Oh, there's a car off. Who is that? Is that Ehab Abbas? I think Ehab Abbas has gone off on the outside of turn 1 and lost a lot of positions. Macau leads then. Joseph into second. Hagstrom into third. Barry Ward has flown his... Oh! Barry Ward has hit Gutierrez up at turn 3. Gutierrez has spun, and there's a lot of incidents going on back there. Simon Smith is involved. It looks like everyone is through fairly safely though. The battle for 7th place is absolutely manic. Barry Ward is in there, and he's about to be hit by Mick Duncombe, who swerves just in time, and Mark Tiller gives Duncombe a bit of a kiss up the bum. I can't believe I've just said that out loud. And Jan Hack and Mick Duncombe are now 3 abreast with Alan Cottini coming through turn 5. and Duncombe has lost a few places, and the battle at the front is quite close as well.
Yeah, indeed, all action on the first lap. Jan Hack getting himself back up to 7th place. So a lot of cars involved. Look at the queue from 7th place on back there. Absolutely nose to tail all the way down to 14th, which is Barry Ward. But a lot of incident on the first lap. Thomas Macau leading the way from Paul Joseph, only 0.3 of a second in it. Paul Joseph right in the slipstream as they come on to lap 2. Jesper Hagström is now up to 3rd place. John Gibbons is in 4th with Alfredo Cheever in 5th, and these are the front 5 that are breaking away slightly.
Paul Joseph takes the lead down into turn 1, then past Thomas Macau. We've seen these two battling their way through race 1 as Francisco Gutierrez made the break and headed off into the distance, but now it's these two battling for the race lead with Jesper Hagström in close company. Mike Ward got it all wrong on the exit of the final corner, so he lost a lot of positions and has since dropped down to 12th. But Paul Joseph and Thomas Macau then are the two leaders, and well, they're not getting away from Hagström yet, but I fear they may do before too long. It's calmed down a little bit further back in the order, and so let's just focus on these two as they head down into turn 6. And will Joseph be able to drive away? He's pulled away a little bit. Let's see how much of a slipstream the BMW can pick up on this fairly short penultimate straight. But look, it's a pretty short straight. They're not even going to reach 6th gear, but Macau has caught pretty close up. He's going to get it stopped in time. Almost hits the back of Paul Joseph, and this is where the BMW should come into its own down this main start-finish straight. Hagström runs a little bit wide behind, but Macau should pretty much drive past Paul Joseph down the straight. Will Joseph go defensive? No. Here comes Macau up the inside, and he's passed by the time they get to the braking zone. But Macau and braking zones hasn't worked well so far, but he's got it done nicely into turn 1 this time.
Yeah, I still suspect that Thomas Macau is running a slightly lighter fuel load. He might be going for 50-50 fuel stop, but looks like he has either made a setup change to the car, but he's definitely getting the braking done better this time around. So Paul Joseph, he's got to stay in the slipstream with Thomas Macau. If he can do that, then he's going to have a great chance at the end of this race.
Simon Smith has got a wrecked car down in 28th position, but he... oh, Jesper Hagström, 3rd position, has hit the anti-cut, and he is on fire and missing his front right wheel. That's a disaster for Jesper, running in a strong 3rd place, just turns in too early and drives into the anti-cut.
Yeah, they are absolutely vicious. They take no prisoners, those bollards. Claimed a few people in Division 1 as well, so he is unfortunately in good company. Stephen Boniface is in the pit lane as well, so potentially another casualty of the bollards. Now I wonder if that will allow him to run to the end. No, I think it might be a bit early for him to do that.
They can take 24 laps of fuel, I think, but the battle for 7th is pretty tight, with Mark Tiller and Francisco Gutierrez and Mick Duncombe and Barry Ward all in a 4-car train as they head over the start-finish straight. Gutierrez, race 1 winner, looks up the inside of Mark Tiller as they head down into turn 1. Tiller brakes later. Gutierrez, though, gets it stopped in time very nicely indeed. Tiller gets the cutback. Oh, Gutierrez has had a terrible exit from the corner, and that's going to allow Duncombe to have the inside line for this right-hander at turn 3, but Barry Ward's going to try and break them all around the outside. So as they head down onto the back straight, it's Mark Tiller in front at the moment in that red and white car. Alongside him is the blue car of Francisco Gutierrez, and he's not going to be able to pull alongside. Behind them, going side by side, and Mick Duncombe and Barry Ward, well, they're not quite going side by side as they head down into turn 4. Gutierrez gets the cutback, and is he going to get alongside? No. Oh, watch out, here comes Lara Martinez, the back marker. She does a good job there of just about staying out of the way of the leaders. Always a tricky situation. And behind them, Barry Ward goes at the inside of Mick Duncombe. Just behind there up into 9th place as Gutierrez is forced over the rumble strip on the outside. He tucks into the slipstream of Mark Tiller as they head down into the final corner. Tiller goes middle of the road. Gutierrez dives out rather dramatically as they break for the final corner. He's not going to be close enough, and he's going to be under pressure from Barry Ward down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 in a line. They're going to pick up some serious speed down the straight. I think this is going to highlight Mick Duncan's problems, because I fear they're just going to drive completely away from him because he doesn't have the right gearing. He got I think he picked his way through a few of the opening lap incidents and picked up a lot of places, but I fear he's only going to lose them again as the race goes on.
Oh, Tiller hit Gutierrez a little bit, and Barry Ward's going to hit them both, and they both avoid that block, and Mick Duncan comes in and rear ends his teammate Gutierrez. So these four really going for it at the moment. Macau is still in the lead if you're interested, but let's keep watching this four-way scrap for what is 7th position as they come into the braking zone for turn 4. They've got a slower car in front, Stephen Boniface, but he's a sensible, seasoned driver, and he will get out of the way. But even though it's a wide track, there's not really anywhere to get out the way, and so he's just driven off the circuit to try and not get involved. That's good driving from Stephen Boniface. But Gutierrez then up the inside of Tiller into turn 6. Oh, a bit of contact. They both get a little bit sideways, and it's going to be Barry Ward. Mick Duncan actually has got the best run, and Duncan in the black and gold Wolverhampton Wanderers colours car pulls out from the slipstream, and Gutierrez has the inside over Tiller. So 2 pairs of 2 heading down. Duncan's late on the brakes. He's going to hit Gutierrez, who spins across into the path of Tiller. Somehow they all end up in a straight line.
This is getting really messy, and I hope it doesn't end in tears for all 3 of these guys. They really are giving no quarter. I think there's about a cigarette paper between them as they come down the main straight. And it's really, really tough stuff. Who's going to come out in front at turn 1? I have absolutely no idea who it's going to be. Barry Ward has got the thing all well sideways on the exit. Mark Tiller has still got the slight advantage. Barry Ward gets pushed off the track a bit, and he's going to be first into turn 2. Oh, he's well off the track, but that's going to get Mark Tiller back ahead of him. Is Francisco Gutierrez going to take advantage of that as well? I think he is. He's managed to make it through. So these 3 are dropping some serious time to the guys ahead, and Francisco Gutierrez goes for it again up the inside from Mark Tiller. Is he going to be able to hang on around the outside? And the good thing about this turn is it's going to get him the right line for turn 5, and he makes it through this time. Is this going to mean he can break away finally from this group? It is really, really difficult to break away, even though you may be faster, but they may have got this sorted out now. Gutierrez has a bit more of a gap, and I think it might be just enough to stay ahead down the main straight.
And that pale blue and white car, the BMW behind, who's just going side by side with Mark Tiller, is the car of Matt Adkin, who started down in 29th position and is now battling over 8th with Mark Tiller on lap 6. Astonishing. And that's where the action's going to be. Gutierrez has got a bit of a break, and now this is going to be 3 wide because Adkin goes side by side with Tiller. Is Ward going to get involved or try and follow Adkin through? He's going to go up the middle of them, and Tiller is about to lose 2 places. Is he? No, he drives right around the outside. A little bit of contact with Adkin. And now, look, here comes Barry Ward up the inside of both of them to take the position. But again, he's locked up. Oh, this time he's lost it big time. And Tiller comes out in front, and look at this battling. This is madness. This battling has allowed Francisco Gutierrez, who was right with them 10-20 seconds ago, to pull out a 2.7 second lead over them.
Yeah, he's going to be long gone from this little group now. They're still going at it. I can't believe that all these cars are still in one piece, and I'm kind of dreading a few protests coming in over this little scrap, but so far they're all still on the track. God knows how, but they are. Mick Duncan is making his way back through them. They're fighting that hard, and this is a man who's already told us that he's got the wrong setup on the car and his gearing isn't right. But here he goes, he's challenging Mark Tiller into the final turn.
Oh, as the Tiller turns in, that's brave, but Duncombe is equal to it and manages to get his car stopped in time, and right with them is Matt Adkin, and Barry Ward is the first man into the pits. So Barry Ward, that's a lovely pit stop. Lap 8, so presumably some sort of issues for Barry Ward, but Adkin dives out from underneath the rear wing of Mick Duncombe, and will he make the move down into turn 1? Duncombe is later on the brakes actually, but Adkin has the inside line, and Adkin goes through past Mick Duncombe and will now head off to chase Mark Tiller, I'd imagine. So I think they've calmed down a little bit. So while they have calmed down, I'll give you a quick rundown of the top 10. Thomas McCow is in the lead of this race. Paul Joseph is still in second. Third place is John Gibbons. Pretty impressive drive from him. Fourth place from down in 10th on the grid, I think, is Alan Cottini. Fifth place is Jan Hack, and in fact 5th and 6th, Jan Hack and Alfredo Chiva, and 4th. So we've got a 3-car train for 4th now, with Alan Cottini, Jan Hack and Alfredo Chiva. 2 Lexi and a Volvo coming out onto the back straight. Chiva pulls out of Jan Hack's slipstream. Chiva is in the black and red car, Jan Hack is in the fiery orange car, and Alan Cottini in the white English Racing Knights car. As they break for the final corner, Jan Hack looks at the inside of Cottini. Is he going to get through? Well, they're going to be side by side heading down the start-finish straight. No, Hack's got a poor exit in his Volvo, and that's going to leave him open to attack from Alfredo Chiva.
Yeah, side by side down the main straight, and as they're side by side, they break their slipstream to Alan Cottini, so Alan's managed to pull away a bit. Now, are they all closing up on...
Chiva hits Cottini. Yeah, sorry Mike. Chiva hits Alan Cottini, T-bones him pretty much on the apex of the first corner. Fortunately, Cottini doesn't spin, and well, he's quite lucky he didn't in that rear-wheel drive Lexus, and through all that comes Jan Hack to take 4th.
Yeah, what I was noticing is was this little group starting to close up on John Gibbons. Now, if they concentrate on not fighting amongst each other too hard, I think they could start to close up, and they've got to keep an eye on their mirrors, because Francisco Gutierrez is starting to hunt them down, and he's closing in on this group as well.
Mick Duncombe, I think, has had a bit of an issue. He's dropped all the way back down to 20th, excuse me, not quite sure what happened there. Jan Hack, the backup in 4th, has just run a little bit wide out of the final corner, and he's going to be under pressure from Cottini and Chiva now as they head down into the final turn. The leaders are still as they were. They're braking very hard for this corner. Hack's locked up his inside right quite substantially, and surely now Alan Cottini will have a run, and Chiva should get a massive toe off both of them as they head down towards the first corner. Is the Volvo going to suffer in the straight line against the Lexi? This is going to be 3 abreast for sure. Here comes Chiva in the red and black car on the inside to make it 3 abreast into the braking zone for the tight hairpin at turn 1. Does Cottini know Chiva is there? Yes, he does. Chiva takes the position, runs a little bit wide. Cottini will drive right around the outside of him at turn 2, and then have the inside for turn 3, and Gutierrez is right with them. Francisco Gutierrez is on a mission. Chiva's round. A little bit of contact perhaps with the front of Gutierrez's car. I'm just having a tiny little look at the replay. No, I think actually Chiva just got on the power too soon.
Yeah, it did look as if there might have been contact, but if there wasn't, then that's a self-inflicted injury for Alfredo Chiva. But Gutierrez is set to fly through the field, and with Jan and Hack and him fighting, Alan Cottini's got a chance to break away and start to put in some fast laps, and because John Gibbons is not out of reach up ahead. He's only about 5 seconds away.
Absolutely, and with 15 laps still to go, that's certainly a manageable margin to close down, especially now Cottini has a bit of breathing space from Hack and Gutierrez, but I'd expect Gutierrez to be up and past Jan Hack fairly soon as they head down the start-finish straight. Then 8th place, Mark Tiller is under pressure from Matt Adkin. As I said, Matt Adkin started the race 29th on the grid, and I think he's about to take another place here to move up into 8th as he switches to the inside of Mark Tiller heading down into turn 1. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Tiller is. Oh, is Tiller going to get that stop before he hits Cheever? Yes, no, he's not. A little bit of bumper cars through the corner there means that Adkin gets a great run through, and he might even get a look at Cheever into turn 3. No, not quite. In fact, he's locked up his brakes. But he could get a run down into turn 4. I tell you what, Adkin is going to be up to 7th place from 29th on the grid by the time they get to the end of lap 10, I'm pretty sure. If he can get a good tow from Cheever, pull out to the inside now, Matt, that's it. And now just outbrake him and hit the apex, and you will have 7th position, my man. Yep, there he goes. Matt Adkin up into 7th place.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular progress from Matt Adkin. Looking back down the field, some of the other guys who started at the back, Aid Randall is up to 15th place. Right behind his teammate Andy Griffiths in 14th. So some of the guys who started at the back were making very good progress.
My prediction about Gutierrez getting past Hack for 5th is very close to coming true. They were side by side into the final corner, and now down the start-finish straight, these very quiet Volvos. they sound like diesels as they head down into turn 1, four-wheel drive, side by side. And is Gutierrez going to be able to make this move? We've got a couple of the brake markers missing, but as I say, they'll have noticed that by now. But Hack has the inside line, and Jan Hack holds 5th place. Gutierrez switches back to get a smoother run through turn 2. But I think he'll be past Jan Hack before too long.
I think Alan Catini is starting to gain on John Gibbons. He was a bit quicker last time around than the BMW ahead. Now that he's not having to fight with other cars, Alan Catini is picking up speed.
Certainly is, and with Jan Hack and Gutierrez continuing to battle behind him, he won't have to worry about looking in his mirrors as of yet. So I don't think I ever finished that rundown of the top 10. Macau leads, Paul Joseph in 2nd. Paul Joseph is coming into the pits then. 2nd place man, Paul Joseph, at the start of lap 13, makes his pit stop. There's another car in the pits there. It's Olof Macau, so one of the back markers. So Paul Joseph then in the pits. Is this going to be just fuel, or is he going to take tyres as well? This is looking like a tyre stop to me, Mike.
I think it is. No signs of anybody else coming into the pits just yet. I'm stationed by the entrance to catch anyone else who decides to make a stop, because I think now is about the time. From now on, we're going to see some of the scheduled pit stops. And I think we've got to keep an eye out for Barry Ward, because he made a very, very early stop. So let's see where he comes back into the action.
It's a good shout. A lot of these drivers, I'd imagine, if they were considering, someone like John Gibbons, for example, may well be able to run the whole race on one set of tyres, because he is fairly lonely. He has been fairly lonely for the entire race, so it's the battling that really takes it out of the tyres, isn't it? So perhaps someone who's having a lonely race like John Gibbons may just be able to spring a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that's true. You do use up the tyres much quicker if you're fighting with people. And now it's Paul Huggett making his pit stop. So if you can, the smoother you can lap and lap by yourself, then you can make the tyres last. And I know a number of the Division 1 drivers did make the tyres last through the entire race. So still no stops from the main front runners. Alan Catini is going through. Gutierrez and Jan Hack have gone through again. So we're past half distance now.
Gutierrez and Jan Hack are now pulling side by side for 4th position as they head down into turn 1. Gutierrez, as we've seen many a time, was faster than Hack but not able to pull away. Oh no! Hack's hit the thingy-mabob, the anti-cut, and Gutierrez has gone into the sideways Jan Hack. Well, Hack's got a puncture. Gutierrez is in trouble. Gutierrez spins right around. Oh, this is a disaster. Hack hit the inside anti-cuts, and Gutierrez is out of the race. He's straight up retired, and that's a real disaster for the race 1 winner. And now let's look at 4th place Jan Hack. Is he struggling with the car? Olof Mek, yeah, he's got punctures. Look at that, he can't stop the car. Yeah, he's got a front right puncture.
Yeah, Nico Brun into the pits, so disaster for Francisco Gutierrez and Jan Hack. That is going to cost him a lot of time. He's got to have to do the whole lap before he can get any repairs done to the car. Thomas Macau into the pits, our race leader, into the pits.
Let's see what he does then. He's fairly slow onto his marks, and he's not taking tyres, I don't think, is he? Doesn't look like he's gone up on the jacks. Nope, it's same pair of tyres, same set of tyres for Thomas Macau, so he will have gained a lot of time over Paul Joseph for not changing tyres. But let's see if he can cope. Matt Adkin has just spun off at the final corner, and all his good work is all up in the air as Mike Ward and Ihab Abbas now are into the pit stops. But it'll be interesting to see how Macau and Paul Joseph's various strategies play out.
Yeah, Alfredo Tube and Jan Hack has now made it back into the pit lane, so that's a bit quicker than expected, so he might yet salvage something from the race. So all the pit stops starting to happen. Let's see who else is due in. No one else coming in for stops just yet. As the whole field cycles through, so that leaves John Gibbons in the lead by 6 seconds from Alain Coutinho. Thomas Macau in 3rd place, only 10 seconds off John Gibbons, so once the stops cycle through, he should be comfortably back into the lead.
Got a nice scrap going on for 7th position, Marco van den Broek and Jenny Anderson. As we mentioned earlier, Jenny is doing a little bit better in this race than she did in the first race. Obviously some sort of issue, and van den Broek has gone in very hot on the brakes there. But Anderson looks like she's putting Marco van den Broek under quite a bit of pressure then as they come through turn 5. 2 BMWs, and Anderson a lot better through turn 5, and is looking up the inside as John Gibbons comes into the pits now. Will he change tyres? We shall have to see. Cortini is in as well, and Anderson has got past van den Broek. Oh, Cortini, is he waiting for Gibbons' pit box? I think he might be here. Cortini is right behind John Gibbons, who is changing his tyres, so our prediction that he may not... yes, Cortini's had to wait. That's a disaster.
Yeah, that ruins Alain Coutinho's time. Matt Adkin is now past Alain Coutinho to 4th place out of all that, so that is a disaster for Alain Coutinho. I hope he's only putting fuel in. If he's changing tyres as well, that is going to ruin his afternoon. Anthony Jones now into the pits.
And that battle between van den Broek and Anderson has now been joined by John Gibbons. So we have a 3-way battle for 5th place. Van den Broek is currently in the lead in his white and black BMW, and alongside him now is the black and white. I've said those two the wrong way around. Van den Broek is the mostly black one who has the lead, and that yellow and purple pretty looking car is the Backmark Brigade vehicle of Paul Huggett getting out of the way. And so van den Broek, Anderson and Gibbons all battling here, but van den Broek and Anderson are yet to make a pit stop, so they'll be holding Gibbons up perhaps, who's been running a little higher up the order, and there's a little bit of a nudge there. Gibbons going into the back of Anderson, but if anything, that's given Anderson momentum to drive past van den Broek as they head down into the final corner. Anderson has the inside line. Will these two be considering pitting fairly soon? Let's see. And Gibbons all tempted to dive right for the inside, a little bit of rubbing, and van den Broek wants to come across to the pits, but Gibbons is there. That could have ended in disaster, but van den Broek into the pits then.
Yeah, so Jenny Anderson, van den Broek and Andy Griffiths, who's just behind this little group, they have all yet to pit. Same for Aid Randall, who is now up to 8th place as the stoppers start to come in. He's been lapping quite steadily. So where the situation is at the moment, Thomas Macau out in front by 12 seconds. Mark Tiller. As Mark Tiller made his stop, Mark Tiller's yet to stop, so Paul Joseph is our proper second place man. He's dropped quite a long way back now. He was within just a couple of seconds, but he's now 14 seconds back from Thomas Macau. So a long pit stop for Paul Joseph. John Gibbons will pick up third place when the stops cycle through. Jenny Anderson, Andy Griffiths, Barry Ward is now up to 7th place now. He's already stopped, so he should stand to gain about 3 places once the others decide to get their stops done.
Mark Tiller in second place is holding up Paul Joseph a little bit as they come down the start-finish straight. Joseph looks to the inside. Joseph's stop was quite long because he changed tyres, whereas Macau didn't. So as I say, it'll be interesting to see if Macau can keep his car on the road come the end of the race, because they get pretty difficult to handle, but he has been out front driving pretty smoothly, so he should be able to do it. Joseph then passes Mark Tiller, as we just saw, probably in the braking zone for turn 1, and will now start to pull away from Tiller. So Tiller on a bit of a glory run at the moment. You don't need much more airtime than you've had today, Mark, with all your battlings going on, so you may as well head to the pits pretty soon. John Gibbons is running in a net third place, but currently 4th on the road after getting past Jenny Anderson pretty comfortably. We've got a good battle now for 6th between Barry Ward and Andy Griffiths. Ward has stopped, Griffiths hasn't, I think. So Griffiths will probably have a lighter tank, and he's exploiting it now, having a little bit of fun with the big boys.
Yeah, indeed, it's still side by side coming down to turn 4, and Andy Griffiths has won that little drag race. So the lighter car is having more effect than it did last season. Barry Ward dives back on the inside of turn 5. That was a bold one, and he's made that stick, and he's got past Andy Griffiths through the turn. So Andy will be due his pit stop shortly. A big slide from Barry Ward on the exit. That's not a place I normally expect to see them sliding, but all very spectacular stuff from Barry. And he's going to put himself, I think he's going to put himself well into the top 5 with that early pit stop of his.
Certainly looks like it, doesn't it, when Mark Tiller finally pits from 3rd. Aid Randall is currently 8th on the road, having yet to make his pit stop too. So a fairly impressive day so far for the English Racing Knights. Well, if they decide to stay out longer than others.
Yeah, and I'm having a look down to see where Alan Catini ended up, and he's ended up in 10th place, and he's about 10 seconds behind Mick Duncan. Has Mick Duncan made his stop? I believe he has. So it's a long way back up for Alan Catini. That pit stop disaster has really cost him.
Thomas Macau lapping pretty quickly out of the front. He's pulled his lead over Paul Joseph up to 15 seconds. As I say that, he completely misses the brakings over the final corner, but no big dramas. Maybe a small indication that on lap 19 out of 25 his tyres are starting to suffer, but with a 15-second gap, it's going to take, 3 seconds a lap for Paul Joseph to catch up. So I'd imagine even with poorly tyres, Macau should be able to hold on to this one. Will Mark Tiller ever pit? Yes, he will. He's coming in now. No, he's not. He was moving to the right-hand side of the circuit. I thought he might leap into the pit lane, but it appears not. I wonder if he's brimmed the car, because they can fit, as I say, 55 litres, which is about 24 laps. So that could be what Tiller's choice was, and in that case, you may only need a splash and dash of fuel, in which case maybe a 1-2 second pit stop, something like that. So this could work out nicely for Tiller.
Yep, and Griffiths heads to the pit lane, so it's going to be one of the last of the pit stoppers. Teammate Aid Randall is still out there. Let's see what Andy does. There should be just a splash and dash. There'll be no point changing tyres, and indeed it is, fuel only. Be underway any second now. There he goes. Now this is going to be good. This is going to maintain 11th place, because I think is Matt Adkin going to make past him? Yes, Matt Adkin passes him. Mike Ward comes past. Let's see where he's going to feed out. It's going to feed back out in about 13th place if he can hold off Marco Vandenbroek. not quite. So down to 14th for Andy Griffiths.
Got a pretty fun battle going on for 9th place. Alain Cortini has just got back past Ehab Abbas as they head down into turn 4. These two have been swapping positions like trading cards on the various few laps. In fact, Cortini has pulled out a bit of a breathing space. Now we've cut to them, which is always the way. Differing lines through turn 5. Ehab Abbas turning in sooner and therefore exiting sooner. Cortini taking a bit. Oh, Cortini hasn't taken that turn 6 very nicely, and that's going to allow Ehab Abbas to have a nice little run as they head down in towards the final corner. And Ehab Abbas pulls out to the inside line, late on the brakes. Surely that's too late. Yep, Cortini will... No! Look at that! Abbas held it. Cortini has taken more speed through the corner though. There is a car in the pit lane, but Ehab Abbas now trying to keep Cortini behind him. It's Mark Tiller. Mark Tiller has finally pitted, so this battle is now for 8th position, I believe. As they head down into turn 1, it's Alain Cortini on the inside. Oh, Cortini, what happened there under brakes?
Yeah, well out of shape on brakes. I only assume he was locking the rears as he downshifted. Another thing that's very easy to do, you have to downshift quite quickly, and I think his tyres may be starting to get a bit second hand.
Yep, he's certainly lost a fair bit of momentum now to Ehab Abbas, who scares the life out of Stefan Boniface as he tries to get some of his slipstream. And Cortini again very wobbly under brakes. I wonder if he's really struggling. Did he change those tyres? I'm not 100% sure. Let's watch Alain Cortini for a bit as he comes around the outside of Boniface at turn 5. Let's watch him under braking for turn 6. No major dramas there, but that's not a particularly big stop. Down into this final corner at turn 7, we should see if he is really struggling with the car, or whether that was just a one-off. So here we go then, heading down into this braking zone. Stamps on the brakes. Oh no, he's very wobbly. A lot wobblier than you'd expect, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think he's starting to suffer with tyre wear, and the car's getting out of balance. Looks like it could have been a bit hard on the rear tyres, because it is looking like quite a handful under braking at the moment. So yeah, this may be it's cute to start nursing the car to the finish. Aid Randall still hasn't stopped. As I don't see, no, he hasn't stopped as yet, and he's still going in 7th place. So he's going to have to make the stop in the next lap or so, surely, because otherwise he's going to run dry. Now a driver who's moved up to 4th place, almost unnoticed, is Jenny Anderson. So he's kept it all together and kept pressing on, and she's ended up in 4th place. And coming up behind her is Barry Ward. Now, has Jenny pitted yet?
I don't believe she has. The slowest of her laps is only 8 seconds slower than her usual lap time. It would take substantially more than that to make a pit stop, and indeed, here's our answer. Swings to the inside out of the final corner and heads down into the pit lane. So, but as we say, this should be a bit of a splash and dash. So if she's lucky, she can get out sort of 10th position, roughly, something like that. And Ehab Abbas has lost time getting past Aid Randall, and Aid Randall now is coming into the pit lane. So these guys have obviously brimmed it. And is that Jenny on her way already? Yes, it is. Where's she going to come out then? She may well get out in the top 10 as she exits the pit lane now.
I think she will. She'll be ahead of Aid Randall, and yes, indeed, she's going to be in 8th place when she comes out. So that's worked out really well.
Yep, solid drive for Jenny on her return as Aid Randall makes his way out. He's going to come out in something like 12th place for Aid Randall. So he will only have to keep Jan Hack behind him for a handful of laps. But he does have Jan Hack and Andy Griffiths and Mike Ward all bearing down on him. So it'll be interesting to see how Aid hangs on for a potential 12th place.
Yeah, indeed, that'll be a good result right from the back of the grid. Although he's got Jan Hack bearing down on him now. Jan's a very experienced competitor, but he's only got a couple of laps, maybe, to move. And remembering that the Volvo is not the best on straight line speed. See if Aid's going to give him any opportunities. I think this is one of the closest battles on the track at the moment. The other one will be Mark Tiller and Matt Adkin for 9th and 10th, and they are absolutely glued together. Back Marcus trying to keep out of the way. Paul Huggett is right in the middle of the final turn. Matt Adkin has gone off, and Mark Tiller has spun. So everything happened there. Now this is going to put Marco Vandenbroek further towards them. So all going on, but Matt Adkin actually, he went from losing to winning there, but he's actually allowed Mark Tiller to repass him. So Matt, I think, feeling that he partly caused that one, so gentlemanly action there, let Mark Tiller back through, and battle is resumed. Now the other two that are close, Ihab Abbas and Alain Coutinho, although they've moved apart again as we were talking, which is what always happens. So Jan Hack has now made his way past Aid Randall for 12th place, and Aid Randall falling off there, so I wonder if Aid has also been hard on his tyres, and he's made a mistake somewhere. That's just allowed Jan Hack through.
On lap 9, Mick Duncan was running in 11th place and decided to make his pit stop on lap 9 and is now in 5th position. Fantastic.
It is unbelievable. I mean, it's got completely the wrong setup. The gearing's not right, and yet there he is, 5th place, and there's really nobody around him. There's nobody in striking distance, and he's only got 1 lap to do. So it's going to be an amazing result from Mick Duncan. You know, talk about just get out of jail free. You know, that's it right there.
Absolutely, and he's been playing bumper cars for a large majority of the race today. But a man who hasn't been playing bumper cars, a man who has hardly been playing with any other cars at all, is Thomas McCow, and he comes around turn 7 to complete what has been a completely dominating victory of this GRC Season 8 Division 2 feature race at Bahrain, and takes the victory in a time of 38 minutes and 3 seconds, a full 15 seconds behind will be Paul Joseph. It really has been domination from Thomas McCow here today. In this feature race anyway. He should have done better in the sprint race as well, so he's certainly a title contender. 2 second places for Paul Joseph, I believe. Maybe he was 3rd actually in the first race, can't remember, but 2 podiums anyway for Paul Joseph make him a very happy man. John Gibbons comes home in an excellent 3rd place, with Barry Ward heading towards the pit wall to celebrate his 4th place, which he'll be pretty chuffed about, another early pit stopper. And as we were just saying, Mick Duncan, an absolutely fantastic result to come home in 5th place after an early pit stop with the wrong setup. That's an absolutely fantastic race from Mick. And Alan Cortini's coming home in 6th. I thought he was behind Ihab Abbas.
He was at one point, and Ihab must have made a big mistake in there. What was his last lap? Oh yes, 9 seconds. So Ihab Abbas spinning on the final lap to let Alan Coutinho pass. Jenny Anderson brings it home in 8th. Matt Adkin in 9th. Mark Tiller brings it home 10th. Vandenbroek and Jan Hack side by side as they come to the finish line. Marco just beats Jan Hack to the line for 11th and 12th. Aid Randall finishes 13th. Andy Griffiths in 14th. And Anthony Jones in 15th. Mike Ward 1 lap down in 16th. Alfredo Chiva 17th. Nico de Bruin 18th. Olaf Macau in 19th. And the final point scorer, Roland Johansson, in 20th position.
Excellent. So just pull the mic down somewhere near my face. So Roland gets his points, gets his point in the end of the day, and so everyone can leave the circuit happy, really. Sad news for Simon Smith. He'll be disappointed with that. I think his suspension was pretty bent, and in fact he's straight in apologising to Jenny Anderson and Lara Martinez, so they must have had an incident at some point. Simon Smith Well, he was getting a bit too big for his boots, I think, with various running in 11th position, that sort of thing, so it's good to see him back at the bottom of the finishers once again. So that is it then for this first meeting of the Division 2 season. It's been a really great couple of races, actually. Thoroughly enjoyed them. Everything has run smoothly and on time. Thomas Macau then has lined himself up to be a real championship threat. He had the pace in race 1, couldn't convert it into a race victory, but he absolutely dominated the feature race here. Francisco Gutierrez will be disappointed with his feature race. After winning the sprint, he had that incident with Jan Hack down at the first corner, and so a bit of a disaster really for him. So closing thoughts then, Mike?
Well, I think we've had two brilliant races. The feature race was quite an epic. Thomas Macau staying out front and wasn't challenged at the end, winning by quite convincing margin, 14 seconds, but Paul Joseph equally impressive, the same amount of time over John Gibbons, so it really has been quite a struggle for a lot of the drivers. They've found that track very demanding, and that just shows with how spread out the field got towards the end. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these drivers will deal with Manfield at the next round. Absolutely. Just before we go, I spy that we've got Simon Smith here with us in the broadcast booth. Let's have a little word with him. Simon, I was saying it's good to see you back at the bottom of the finishes after some rather pretentious midfield running.
I promise I'll never do it again.
How was that race? We saw your incident in the first race. What happened in the second one? You seem to be driving with a pretty wonky car towards the end.
Oh, well, half of it was my fault and half of it was just bad luck. I need to apologise to Lara because on about the second lap into the last corner, there was 4 of us, I think, all trying to get into one space, which just didn't happen, and I whacked Lara, so I think that's what caused her problem, so sorry, Lara. And then later on, I was catching back up with everyone again, going quite quickly, an astonishment to myself, and into the last corner again, I was just coming up to Stefan Boniface, and he braked where I didn't expect to brake, and normally I'm the one that brakes first with everything, and because I wasn't, it just completely threw me off surprise, and I just went straight into the back of him. So the racing accident, but slightly probably my fault, because it's always the driver behind's fault. So I do apologise to everybody that I wrecked during that race, but I hope you forgive me, and I'll be allowed back next time.
Your first race in the GRC Touring Car Championship looked like you had a lot of fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like GRC. It's a very nice place to be. Great bunch of people, and the racing on track ain't half bad either.
Excellent. Well, let's have a quick word with Gary Gray, who's popped in here, and I can only presume that's because he wants to talk to us. Gary, pretty eventful races for you, it seemed.
Yeah, well, race 1 got spun out, but I managed to crawl back again, but sure.
Excellent. And how did you find your first race in the GRC?
Well, unfortunately, it's not my first race. I had a few last season too, but I'm enjoying it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us in the booth up here. And Marco Vandenbroek is with us here now. Marco, you were running up the front for some time, but a couple of incidents in your various races. Why don't you tell us about them?
Yeah, what a few races. I mean, really tired of it. Not tired of it and like done with it, but like hell, what a race! I mean, first race was like 19 to 11, 10th place at the end, which was very good, with some good luck and a whole lot of pushing. Same with the second race, but then. Again, from the back, starting from the bad luck from the qualifying with the board that was popped away, and just worked up again and then got hit in the back, and work myself up again. So I'm pretty happy with the result that I can push with this car.
Well, that's great to hear. We're just about out of time here at Bahrain. Thank you to all the drivers for joining us here in the commentary booth, and if you ever want to join us, pop in after the race for a little chat. So my thanks to Mike Wrightson for joining me today here in the booth, and thanks to Simon Melliwish for doing the cameras. And this time next week we will be at Manfield for the Division 1 race, and then this time in 2 weeks' time we will be here in Manfield for Division 2. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.